There was a time in my life when things became genuinely difficult. You know those periods when you wake up in the morning and the thought of getting out of bed already feels exhausting. That was one of those times. For weeks, I fought through work that didn't feel right, work that drained me instead of fulfilling me. On one side, people telling me what I should do. On the other, people warning me about what I shouldn't do. Everyone around me kept talking, but no one was really listening. And that wasn't even the hardest part. There were difficult people in my life, and a confusing, emotionally draining relationship that left my mind in constant chaos. To be honest, in the middle of all this, I didn't feel okay at all. It felt like the control of my life was slowly slipping out of my hands, as if I was no longer in the driver's seat. Every day, almost every moment, my mind jumped straight to the worst-case scenario. The future felt like an endless source of anxiety, and little by little, that anxiety turned into unhappiness, into pessimism, into a heavy state of mind that only grew darker the more I retreated inward. You know that phrase, "I wish the ground would just open up and swallow me"? Believe me, I was far beyond even that point, because one thought kept looping in my head. A single choice I made in the past turned my life into something unbearable. And do you know the most painful part? Because of that thought, I blamed everyone around me. Life, people, circumstances. Instead of facing myself, I kept searching for blame outside. In those moments, I felt like an open road made of asphalt. No matter where I tried to stand, everyone just walked right over me. No matter what decision I made, another voice inside whispered, "This is wrong." And that's when I encountered Stoicism, right there, in the middle of that state of mind. On a day like that, I came across a single word, just one word, but its meaning was far too deep to fit into volumes of books or entire encyclopedias. Stoicism. Without realizing it, something shifted. It began to seep slowly into my subconscious. That fog pressing down on my face, that dark shadow hanging over me. For the first time, it started to lift. Inside a mind that had felt like a battlefield for so long, a clearing appeared. Clear, quiet, and strangely, safe. It was a place none of my dreams had ever even knocked on before. A place no one ever visited, not even me. A space I had completely forgotten. And right there, I began to change. Slowly, I began to heal. The more curious I became, the deeper I went. I read everything I could reach. Books, articles, notes. And the more I understood, the more this philosophy pulled me in. Not a little. Completely. It felt like I had finally found a language I had been searching for my entire life. At some point, I realized something important. I couldn't keep this to myself. I had to share it with others. And the transformation was truly incredible. Anxiety gave way to calm. Stress turned into inner peace. My decisions became clearer. And for the first time, my choices truly began to align with my values. Now, let's pause for a moment. Today, I want to talk to you about how Stoicism can become a real turning point in a person's life, but not in the language of books, not in theory, from real life, from lived experience. Together, we'll go down to the foundation of this philosophy, and we'll look at one simple question. How do you actually live Stoicism? In today's fast, chaotic, exhausting world? How do you apply it when life is messy and overwhelming? And there's more. We'll witness how these principles can become a powerful guide when you're trying to rebuild a more meaningful life, when you're struggling, when things feel heavy. If you see this, as a personal journey of discovery and transformation. And if you're truly ready, I invite you to stay with me until the very end of this video. Let me be clear, this will be one of the deepest conversations we've had on this channel. So I have a small request for you. Whatever you're dealing with, whatever battle you're fighting, if you feel trapped between choices or stuck in helplessness, please move to a place where no one will interrupt you. Put your phone aside and just listen. Slowly allow yourself to be guided by the calm, quiet strength of Stoicism. No matter which story you're living right now, never forget this. Even stories with happy endings begin with painful chapters, and maybe you are standing right at that turning point. But perhaps the most important part was this. Every day, as I woke up and looked at life, I began to find a deeper meaning. And that meaning was something no one could ever take away from me. Epictetus, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Zeno. As I absorbed the teachings of these names, I found myself inside an entirely different world of wisdom. This isn't a decorated, unreachable philosophy. It's not abstract or distant. On the contrary, it's a guide you can hold on to, right in the middle of real life. Simply put, Stoicism is a philosophical pursuit focused on developing virtue, willpower, and understanding. Its core idea is simple, yet incredibly powerful. Most external events are outside of our control, but how we respond to them, our perspective, that is within our control. This awareness changes the way we look at life. The difficulties may not disappear, but the way we carry them does. One of the most essential principles of Stoicism is this: learning to distinguish what is within our control from what is not. Our thoughts, our actions, our choices, these belong to us. But external events, other people's behavior, what they think or feel, these do not. Stoicism teaches us something fundamental. Instead of wasting energy on what you cannot change, invest it in what you can. That is real wisdom. And there's one more important thing. Stoicism is not a philosophy that stays on the page. It's not just beautiful sentences that sound good in books. When dealing with stress, when managing anxiety, when melancholy creeps in, when decisions feel heavy and unclear, Stoicism offers practical paths forward. It provides quiet but powerful methods for those seeking a real, authentic, and lasting sense of well-being. Methods you can apply in everyday life. So Stoicism is not about escaping life. It's about facing life from a stronger, steadier place. Throughout this video, we will explore the core principles of Stoicism and how they can be applied in everyday life. We'll talk about virtue, resilience, acceptance, and what it truly means to guide ourselves in alignment with our values. When you feel overwhelmed by life's challenges, when you don't know what to do, when you're searching for practical ways to live a more meaningful life, Stoicism can truly be a key for you. This video is not here to give you ready-made answers, but to offer valuable perspectives and powerful teachings. Stoicism can open the door to a new beginning in your life, toward a richer, deeper, more meaningful existence. But let me be very clear about one thing. This philosophy exists to guide you. The walking always belongs to you. No philosophy can transform you on its own. Real change begins with action. So, to discover how this ancient, yet still deeply alive, philosophy can truly change our lives, come, let's move forward together, just as it deeply changed mine. Now, I ask you for something small, but powerful. Take a moment and think. If you had the chance to restart your life, would you take it? And remember this: Starting again does not mean erasing the past. It does not mean denying what has been lived. On the contrary, it means learning from those experiences, taking the wisdom gathered there, and building a brighter, more hopeful future. Maybe this video is exactly that beginning. Marcus Aurelius teaches us something very simple, yet deeply unsettling. What stands in the way becomes the way. He takes it one step further and says, the obstacle in front of action advances the action itself. What blocks the path becomes the path. These words force you to stop and think, because the difficulties you encounter in life are not there to stop you. They exist to reveal your potential, to push your limits. If, instead of retreating in the face of obstacles, you find the courage to move through them, those obstacles slowly begin to change shape. They are no longer walls. They become roads that lead you toward your goal. This perspective teaches us something essential: not to see difficulties as enemies, but as opportunities, to move with determination, and to walk with obstacles, not against them, on the path forward. Sometimes, even when you feel the most anxious, the most afraid, the most exhausted, the most helpless, there is only one thing you truly need to do: take the next step. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, take the next step. The rest will follow. No one can stop you, because starting again is an art. It is the delicate balance between learning from mistakes and moving forward with renewed hope. And there is something else we must not forget. The way we respond to situations reveals how we perceive the world. If we see the world as a hostile place, we remain in constant defense. But if we approach life with kindness, our actions begin to reflect love. This is exactly where Stoicism enters. It invites us to question our perception of life, to adjust it, to balance it. It allows us to see reality, blurred by uncontrolled emotions, with a more objective, clearer, calmer gaze. And perhaps true freedom begins right here. Seneca has a striking line that goes like this: we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Pause for a moment and think about that. Sometimes what hurts us is not what we are actually living through. It's what hasn't happened yet, or what exists only in our minds. Pain knocks on the door before it even arrives, and we invite it in. But what if we stopped seeing every obstacle as an enemy standing against us, and started seeing it as an opportunity? Stoics do not view life's challenges as punishments of fate. To them, these experiences are exercises that strengthen the soul. Just as muscles grow stronger under weight, the soul grows stronger through resistance. This perspective opens a new path, and it carries us beyond where we currently stand. Stoicism does not encourage us to magnify our struggles. It teaches us to see them as chances to grow. Just as fire purifies gold, hardship refines the human being. It strengthens us. It matures us. What truly shapes us is often the very thing we try to run away from. This is exactly what made me a follower of Stoicism, realizing that everything life brings my way, whether good or bad, will eventually shape who I become. And this is what makes Stoicism so surprising, so relevant, so timeless. Because eras change, but human pain, fear, and hope remain the same. And Stoicism, right at this point, still speaks. Marcus Aurelius, in his book Meditations, was not actually speaking to the world. Those lines were not written to teach anyone. He was sharing his deepest thoughts with himself. That book was his journal, and within its pages, we see his effort to stay grounded in reality, his determination to pursue purpose, and the inner dialogue constantly unfolding in his mind. It reminds us of something powerful. The way we speak to ourselves determines the direction of our lives. That's why we must learn to become our own friend. This doesn't mean we need no one else. Of course, friendship matters. But wherever we go, we must learn to value our own presence, independently of others. We must be able to find happiness within ourselves, because living dependent on someone else's happiness is one of the greatest traps of all. Stoicism constantly reminds us of this. Happiness is temporary. Pain is temporary. Success is temporary. Failure is temporary. That's why it teaches us to value moments, but at the same time, to be ready to let them go. Epictetus offers a very clear warning. Everything has a price. Choose what you value, and be prepared to let go of the rest. The Stoic journey is not easy, but it is deeply rewarding. It teaches us how to value ourselves, how to find strength within hardship, and how to live guided by purpose. Dealing quietly with disrespect, injustice, and difficult people is not easy, but for a fulfilling life, it is often necessary. Stoicism emphasizes living in harmony, not only with the outside world, but also with our inner nature. It asks us an important question. Am I acting according to my true desires and principles, or am I simply reacting to the expectations of others? Remember this. We are constantly evolving, and our thoughts shape our lives. Too often, we forget our true essence and chase external validation, trying to please everyone else. Stoicism pulls us out of that cycle and invites us to recognize our inner value, independent of other people's opinions. As Epictetus said, true freedom is refusing to submit to the will of others. In other words, the key to becoming a new version of yourself has always been you. Acceptance is not surrender. Acceptance means seeing reality, understanding it, and responding wisely, recognizing what lies beyond our control, without losing control over how we respond. It's not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. And never forget this. The only thing we truly own is time. The past is a memory. The future is uncertain. Life is lived entirely in this moment. True power actually lives right here, right now. Constantly worrying about the future or getting stuck in what already happened in the past pulls us away from this moment unfolding in front of us. And without even realizing it, we trap ourselves inside a vicious cycle. The Stoics didn't just talk about philosophy. They lived it. Every single day, they pushed themselves to grow, to learn, and to evolve. So now we have to ask ourselves an honest question. What kind of legacy do we want to leave behind? Stoicism teaches us something essential. Our legacy is not shaped by our words, but by our actions. Life is not measured by the number of breaths we take. Life is measured by the moments that take our breath away. We live in a world where people often try to take advantage of us. That's exactly why remembering the power of both inner and outer silence is so important. In silence, there is clarity, there is purpose, and there is a deeper connection with ourselves. Silence creates space to think. It allows us to recharge, and it helps us focus on what truly matters. Epictetus gives a simple yet powerful reminder. Don't explain your philosophy. Live it. When we take that seriously, we realize something important. Progress often begins by letting go of what's holding us back. Sometimes that's other people's expectations, and sometimes it's an outdated version of ourselves that no longer serves us. Through Stoicism, we find the freedom to pursue our true potential. And eventually, we come to understand this. The quality of our thoughts matters more to our happiness than wealth, than power, than status, because how we think shapes how we live. And maybe the essence of this entire journey comes down to this: not trying to control life, but learning to meet it with wisdom, valuing virtue, the expression of goodness in our actions. This may be the very heart of Stoicism. Integrity, moderation, courage, wisdom. And Marcus Aurelius reminds us of a simple yet striking truth. It's not that we have too little time to live, it's that we waste so much of it on things that don't truly matter. Along this journey, we have to ask ourselves, which virtues am I cultivating? What kind of person am I becoming? Yes. Life is inevitably filled with hardship. There's no denying that. But Stoicism teaches us something essential. What matters is not what happens to us, but how we respond to it. Don't spend your time on what's trivial. Try to grow, even a little, every single day. Because through that evolution, a new version of you can emerge. Maybe even the best version of you. Like a flower reaching toward the sun, every challenge becomes an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become stronger. As Epictetus once said, the point of life is not to avoid wounds. The point is not to surrender to them. There was a time when we were younger, when the future looked like an endless ocean of possibilities. So why does it feel now as if nothing works anymore? Maybe it's time to pause and look honestly, to analyze our actions, to separate what works from what doesn't. That awareness can become a true turning point. But like many journeys, mine too was eventually touched by a shadow. There was a time when I had things in my life that I would turn to, just to escape the chaos of the world. Alcohol, cigarettes, endless hours wasted in front of a screen. At first, they were an escape, a way out. Then, slowly, they became a necessity. They darkened my days. They made my nights even heavier. I found myself drinking almost every day. There were people around me, but, strangely, I was alone. Because at the center of those relationships, there was alcohol. No alcohol, no friendship. No alcohol, no conversation. No alcohol, no connection. Superficial bonds. Temporary closeness. And without even realizing it, the relationships I truly cared about started to fall apart. One by one, happiness became harder to reach. Peace felt almost impossible. And right at that moment, at the peak of this self-destructive spiral, I encountered the very thing I mentioned at the beginning of this video: Stoicism. And that's when I understood what Stoicism really was. It wasn't a motivational quote. It wasn't a handful of nice-sounding sentences. It was a way of living. That discovery marked the beginning of a new chapter in my life. I decided to become a different person, and I consciously chose this path. And I say this with complete sincerity. I hope this video becomes a small but powerful spark for a new beginning in your life as well. So I want to ask you for something. Pause the video for a moment and write just this in the comments: I will become a new person. Seal it with today's date. Not for anyone else. Not for the algorithm. Not for me. For yourself. Come on. Here and now. Let's begin a renewal. Because I learned firsthand how uncontrolled desires slowly take us captive, how they begin to rule us. And you don't have to walk the same road I did. Inspired by the lessons of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and other Stoic philosophers, I began a journey to become the best version of myself. This path first taught me this, how vital self-discipline truly is, how to remain resilient in the face of hardship, and perhaps most importantly, that we cannot control everything that happens to us, what people say, or how events unfold, but we can control the way we respond to them, without allowing those reactions to take over our lives. Today, when I look back, several years after that turning point, I realize that I have completely left my old self behind, and every single day, I feel genuinely grateful that I encountered Stoicism at that critical moment. About 8 months ago, I decided to change, to become different, for real. I quit alcohol, I quit smoking, and now, at this point, I want to ask you something. How much longer are we going to wait to break free from our other addictions? Stoicism taught me this, to truly value life, to face difficulties with strength, instead of running away, and perhaps the most precious lesson of all, a true sense of freedom. External things no longer control my life. I am the captain of my own clarity, of my own purpose, and now my mission is clear, to share these teachings, this experience, this path, with you. The journey was not easy, but Stoic teachings guided me, even in the darkest, most difficult moments. And now, this is what comes next, not just listening to this philosophy, but living it. In a moment, I will share with you Stoic skills and transformative principles that you can start applying today, that you can truly integrate into your daily life. If you're ready, let's begin, because the best version of you is much closer than you think. Now come. Instead of just talking about Stoicism, let's look at how we can bring it into everyday life. These things are not difficult, but when done consistently, they are truly life-changing. Spend time alone with yourself in the morning. Set aside a few minutes every morning. Sit in silence. Do a short meditation. Reflect on the previous day. Visualize how you want today to unfold. Prepare your mind for challenges, so when a stressful moment arrives, instead of panicking, you can remain calm. Keep a gratitude journal. Every day write down 3 things you're grateful for. They can be small things. A cup of coffee, a message, a quiet moment. This habit trains your mind to focus not on what's missing, but on what's already good. Don't neglect your body. Stoics knew that a healthy body is the foundation of a strong mind. Walking, running, yoga, or simply a movement you enjoy. What matters isn't the duration, it's consistency. Remember the principle of control. When you face a problem, ask yourself, is this within my control or not? Focus on what you can control, and calmly accept the rest. This perspective makes life incredibly lighter. Develop self-discipline. Food, money, time. Set realistic goals in these areas, and move forward with small steps every day. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for consistency. Face yourself at night. Before sleeping, review your day. Did you act in alignment with your values? Did you stay true to Stoic principles? What could you have done better? What can you change tomorrow? This isn't about judging yourself. It's about growing. Learn from inspiring examples. Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius. Study their books, their lives, their experiences, because they didn't just talk about this path. They lived it. Create distance from what others think. Trying to please everyone is the fastest road to burnout. Focus on acting according to your own principles and values. Silence helps greatly here. Don't forget the impermanence of life. Remember that death is inevitable. Not to be pessimistic, but to value life more deeply. When time is limited, choices become meaningful. Develop skills. Learn new things. Challenge yourself. Step outside your comfort zone. In Stoicism, personal growth is essential. It builds confidence. To face difficulties head-on. Accept what cannot be controlled. Truly internalize this. Nothing that happens to you can harm you unless you allow it to. Acceptance is not surrender. It is letting go of resistance. Choose authenticity in relationships. Build virtue-based, real, mutually beneficial connections. Not surface level, but depth. Touch philosophy every day. Even briefly. Read. Reflect. Ask yourself, how can I apply this in my life? Philosophy is meaningful only when it is lived. Reflect on mortality. Sometimes pause and simply think about it. This puts small worries into perspective and makes the present moment more valuable. Be compassionate toward yourself. Don't judge yourself for things beyond your control. See mistakes as lessons. Motivation doesn't come from being your own enemy. It comes from being your own friend. Give without expecting anything in return. Help someone. Do a good deed. Contribute something. This strengthens a sense of purpose and fulfillment. And remember this. Stoicism is not about being perfect. It's about living more consciously. A little more each day. And that is enough. Stoicism makes one thing very clear. This does not happen in a single day. Stoic practices are not a magic button that instantly changes your life. But they do this. Over time, they change you. They transform your mindset. They rewrite how you see difficulties. So remember this. The obstacle is the way. Instead of escaping when things get hard, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Maintain balance in your desires. Don't suppress your emotions, but don't become their prisoner either. Developing emotional self-discipline is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. Practice empathy, but don't try to please everyone. By controlling negative impulses, build strong boundaries for your mental and emotional well-being. In short, Stoicism offers a powerful path for personal transformation. In this video, we talked about a series of practices inspired by ancient philosophy that help you develop self-discipline, resilience, and inner calm in daily life. Taking notes matters, because growth is not accidental. From morning meditation to empathy, from serving others to calmly facing challenges, all of these practices give you tools to face life with more clarity and more strength. But as Marcus Aurelius said, the key is action. Knowing is not enough. Reading is not enough. Listening is never enough. You must practice. So start today. Choose one or a few of these practices, and over time, watch how your perspective, your resilience, and your inner peace begin to change. Change starts quietly, but once it begins, there is no turning back. The path starts here. If anything I shared here resonated with you, if you found yourself saying, "Yes, that's exactly what I've been thinking," know this. You are not alone. This channel is not for those trying to be perfect, but for those brave enough to become better. Here, we talk about facing life without running away, taking responsibility without excuses, and growing a little stronger every day. If you want to be the captain of your life, if you don't want to get lost in the noise of the outside world, if you want to walk your own path consciously, follow, because this journey is stronger together. And remember, change doesn't start with a video. It starts with a decision. And that decision is now.